Welcome to the Michigan Outdoors podcast. As always, I'm Tyler Mihai along with Justin Tomei, Steve Wyndham, and Logan Schultz. We'll be joined later in the episode by member Zach Snyder to talk through his recent bear hunt and his unique walleye pursuits from the year. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and a video edition on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We now have an Instagram account, so make sure to follow us at Michigan Outdoors Pod and tag us in all your future hunting and fishing successes. And the Michigan Outdoors podcast is proud to partner with Onyx Hunt. Join the millions of hunters who trust Onyx Hunt to help them fill their freezers. Create hunt strategies for your property with custom waypoints, view wind forecasts for individual stand sites, integrate with cell cameras, and so much more. Onyx is essential for hunters to understand property lines, find an eScout public land and other hunting spots, and all of the other tools to give yourself the best possible chance at a successful hunt. All current MUCC members are eligible for a 1-month free trial of Onyx Elite and an additional 20% off your annual membership. New MUCC members will get a free 3-month trial of Onyx Elite in their welcome email when signing up. To find your current membership discounts, log into your MUCC member portal and click on membership discounts link to see all of the benefits of being an MUCC member. Join MUCC today to take advantage of these offers. All right, welcome back. It is episode 5. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing good.
We're doing.
Make sure to like and share on all social media platforms.
Jeez, give it a rest, Steve.
Just trying to help remind people.
We're 30 seconds.
That's podcast
in,
talk, Logan.
Just
That's
trying to help
podcast
remind
talk.
people.
Pump the brakes, bud. Pump the brakes.
If you don't self-promote, you don't grow.
I think those membership discounts he was talking about, that's all the promotion we need. I mean, that's good stuff right there.
We had a guy emailing today that he couldn't figure out how to do it, so we know one person's using it because I sent him the link.
Yep.
So he's getting his free 3-month trial of Elite.
We'll attempt to make it even easier if that's the feedback we're
It's
getting.
in a URL in the welcome email,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
it's pretty straightforward.
It should be,
Yeah.
Somebody test it. Just pay the $35 and let us know.
Email us at podcast@mucc.org to let us know how it works.
Does that email work now, Logan?
I was going to say.
It does.
Did
There is an
did
inbox.
somebody create that?
Yes, we did.
I need the inbox. I don't want the Instagram. I don't know how to Instagram.
Yeah, you don't have
We had to
access
have
that
the inbox to make the Instagram.
Okay. Well, then I guess I did it.
Nice.
After I reminded you 4 times.
You're welcome.
All right, well, we want to hop and do some policy.
Yeah, it's going to be a short one for policy wise. Our coyote lawsuit, where we sued the commission for illegally closing the coyote season for 3 months from mid-April to mid-July. The commission filed their brief last week, the end of last week, like 5 o'clock on Friday. I got it. Basically, stating their argument for why they did it. I think it's pretty terrible personally. I think our brief was much better. Our arguments were much stronger. So that happened. The next step in that, though, is we file a response brief end of November, I think the 26th, that's due. After that, it's up to the judge what happens. They could just rule based on the briefs, or we could have oral arguments. So that is the coyote update. While we're talking about oral arguments, there is an update on the consent decree lawsuit as well, where MUCC is a part of the Coalition to Protect Michigan Resources.
CPMR.
CPMR. We
People know it as CPMR.
we sued in response to the consent decree, saying basically that the consent decree just didn't follow sound science, that it was going to be really bad for the Great Lakes resource, and that they ignored CPMR's arguments when the consent decree was accepted, that biologists say this was going to cause harm to the resource.
Have we talked about the consent decree on here before?
No.
Not in depth.
Would it be
don't
worthwhile
think
just
so.
doing a very brief
A brief history timeline.
summary of what it is?
I will go as brief as I can, because this could very easily devolve into several hours in and of itself.
It doesn't have to. Just
So there is a document called the Great Lakes Consent Decree. It is entered into by the 5 sovereign tribes in the state of Michigan, and the United States federal government. And it dictates the allocation of certain fishing resources within the Great Lakes.
and method of take too.
Yes, between the state and the tribes, specifically commercial tribal anglers. So it dictates, who gets how many fish, where they can fish, the gear they can fish. And there's been a handful of decrees since the late 70s. And the most recent one began negotiations in 2019 and it was accepted in the end of 2023. The 2023 decree, as accepted, allows the tribal commercial anglers to use millions of feet of effort of gill net per year in the Great Lakes where there hadn't been gill nets for a number of years, in some cases like 50 years. And among other things, this version of the decree, in our opinion, is very bad for the Great Lakes, for the fishery, for the resource. So this has been going on for a number of years. We filed suit almost immediately after the decree was accepted because the judge gave us, as the Coalition to Protect Michigan Resources, that ability. It has been a long, drawn-out legal process. It is now coming to a head. Oral arguments have been scheduled for December 10th. So I don't know how quickly the court may rule on it, but this is the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. So this is pretty high up there in the federal court, and we will have a decision sometime after those oral arguments about whether or not the appeals court agrees with our assessment that biology was ignored when entering into this decree, and that's going to cause irreversible harm to the resource. So that is the consent decree boiled down as much as I can get it.
Well, it's important to note, too, that it's a federal issue. So it's taking place in a court in Cleveland?
Yeah, so the Sixth Circuit is Cincinnati, I think.
Cincinnati,
it was in a federal court where we had hearings prior, was always in Kalamazoo. The next step up is the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. So it is a federal issue. The federal government represents the tribes. So that's where we're at with it. That one, we could do a whole podcast just on that if you want, but if we go down any more, it's going to be a rabbit hole we're never going to come out of.
So currently we're in 2 lawsuits. So now is a great time to join or donate as the giving season is upon us, to make sure that we can continue to fight back and manage based on sound science. Right?
Yep. Steve is right. These things do cost money. We believe they are in the best interest of the resource and the state and our outdoor heritage. But those are the updated on our 2 legal briefs. As we record this, we sit 8 days from Election Day. So when you hear it, it will be November 4th, the day before the election. Please remember to go out and vote for conservation-minded candidates. Vote for people that represent your beliefs. But whatever you do, just go engage, get involved, go vote November 5th.
And no matter what you do, after you vote, you need to still hold the elected officials accountable. So whether or not the person you vote for wins, stay engaged and make sure that you write those letters, send those emails, go to meetings, be part of MUCC's call to actions. Make sure that you continue to hold lawmakers accountable even after the voting is over.
How many of you 3 have ever participated in a lame duck session? In any meaningful way?
What do you mean participate?
Yeah, what do you mean?
In any, you've contacted your legislators.
I'm not a dirty lobbyist, so I don't.
I mean, who hasn't contacted their legislators?
During lame duck, though?
During lame duck?
So,
they're too busy coming up with garbage bills to take my call.
They do that a lot during lame duck. So what Steve's talking about, in my mind, is everybody becomes complacent after the election. Get into Thanksgiving, get into Christmas, get into the shopping season. And that is when legislators can do a lot more stuff quickly without being under as much public scrutiny because everyone's focused on those other things. So we call it lame duck in the policy world. It is what is going to happen when the legislature comes back. They're going to be at the end of the legislative session, which is 2023 and 2024. People will be leaving office. New people will be coming in January. So it's just a mad flurry. So what is important for you, the listener, to remember, the legislature could be dramatically changed come January of next year. Meaning, let's say if the Republicans were to take power in the House, the Democrats would only have really about 6 weeks to get anything that they want to get done while they have the trifecta. Could be a lot of good to come from that from the conservation perspective. Could be a lot of bad. Whatever the case is, you need to stay involved. I'm going to be watching it nonstop. So will Amy. So will our policy team here in Lansing. But lame duck could dramatically change everything and how they're gonna behave post election. So, get involved now. Sign up for our email list. You can do it on our website. There's a link under the About tab for the Policy Action Center. You can sign up there. But lame duck has the potential to be very, very crazy. It could be conservation issues, natural resources, hunting regulations, could be gun stuff. We don't know what it's going to look like yet. I'll have a better idea after the election, but you need to be prepared for anything in lame duck. So stay engaged, stay involved, hold your legislators accountable.
Big thank you to one of MUCC's newest partners, GK World Championship Calls. As a proud 100% Michigan-based company, GK has built a reputation for delivering customer service that is second to none. With some of the most accomplished callers in the world, they have been successful in winning every major title on the goose calling circuit. GK is also proud to be a sponsor of numerous hunting organizations all over North America that make it a priority to get the young men and women involved in the great sport of waterfowling. They strive to educate the youth on the importance of conservation, safety, and respect for the sport. MUCC members receive 20% off their order with our exclusive discount code found in your MUCC member portal. All right, how's hunting season going?
It's going.
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why is it freaking awesome?
I filled 3 antlerless tags,
Oh.
and today, what's today's date? The 27th?
Today's the
28th.
28th.
28th. Last night, I took my daughter hunting and got the first deer while she was in stand with me, and it was just it was a nice
Ever?
doe.
Is that first
Yeah,
time?
so she's only been hunting with me a few times, mostly this year. We've seen deer every time. And yesterday we saw a little buck chasing doe and fawns, and another doe and fawn stepped out about 100 yards in the corn, and we were watching them. And then this doe stepped out, I don't know, it was less than 10 minutes, so legal light was over about 35 yards, and we shot her, and Mio got to watch her run off and got to watch her go down, and she took me right to the deer when we got it, or when we got out of the stand, and I don't know, she had a blast. I haven't chucked like that in years, killing a deer. Shooting does, doesn't, I mean, I still enjoy it, but it's not like when I was a kid and I'd get all shaky. But yesterday I shot that deer, and she looked at me like, we just shot a deer together, and she just goes, oh, and she got all excited. So
Did you have a dad moment? The picture you sent looked like he had teary eyes.
I have tears. Well, it's the allergies from walking in that freaking
allergies.
Allergies. Yep.
Allergies.
Allergies. They're still going crazy. You see me if you're watching. You see me rub my eyes a lot. Allergies going bonkers right now. I was pretty excited though. I mean, she was singing "Best Day Ever."
That's cool.
She got to ride in the front seat. If you ask her about it, she's going to tell you that she got to ride in the front seat of the truck because I just put her in the passenger seat while we drove around the hayfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've got a few deer this year, and 2 since the last podcast, and I don't know, it's been a good hunt season. I got to hunt a lot with her, and I've been seeing boatloads of deer. Saw a bunch of deer yesterday. It was like 29 degrees in the morning. Saw 3 different bucks.
Mm-hmm. Bucks are
Does.
moving right now.
The rut is kicking
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of pictures of bucks that I've not seen yet this year. Chasing does, moving.
Yeah, this week's weather's gonna stink. It's gonna be rainy and hot all week.
Yeah, tomorrow's almost 80.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you found out today that your target buck is no longer.
Yeah, so my dad's been chasing this big buck up north for 2 years called Bullwinkle. And we didn't even know he was alive until mid-October, and they got a picture of him. And we knew he lived across the river. So my dad lives on the north side of the Boardman River in Kalkaska, and my grandpa on my mom's side has property on the south side of the Boardman River, about a half mile downstream. And my dad calls me today and goes, my buddy was out pulling a stand and saw blood and a crossbow bolt, and he followed it up to this guy gutting this buck. And he's like, it was Justin's uncle. And they're like, well, what buck is it? What buck is it? Turns out it was Bullwinkle. So my dad went over there and saw him, got to put his hands on him. But yeah, the buck my dad's been chasing for 2 years got shot by my uncle a half mile away last night. So it's a hell of a deer. I'll ask if I can put the picture up of Bullwinkle. So it's just a big old deer, and he was just kind of cool. He's not going to score super high, but he's just a big old deer, and he's got real bladed out flat antlers on one side.
How old do you think he is?
Old. His neck is
old.
scruff.
Yeah. He's old. I haven't seen a good picture of him on the hoof, so I don't want to say, but he's probably 4 and
That's
5
right,
and up for
at least
sure.
4.
I mean, it's a public
Yeah.
land buck too, so that's
Yeah.
that makes it even more impressive. But yeah,
That
so
is cool.
that happened today. I called my dad, make sure I didn't have to talk him off the ledge, but he was pretty happy that someone we knew got him, and he got to put his hands on him. So
Yeah. Well, Logan, you're obviously excited to be back.
How could you tell?
You know,
You haven't spoke all podcast, so
Yeah.
it's always pretty good.
where's
Hey, you should join MUCC.
your
Like and subscribe.
that's podcast.
If you want to do my job, you can.
Okay. We could have a soundboard do that.
Just wouldn't
Put
be
it
as,
in at the
wouldn't
end
be
of
as
every
natural.
story.
Actually, it's not a bad idea.
Wouldn't be as natural.
And then we could get rid of you.
Well, let's get some input. How's your hunting season going?
My hunting season's going pretty good. Shot a lot of grouse this year. That 10-year cycle they talk about for their population numbers. I don't know if it's 10 years, but there definitely is a bounce back year for them. I've shot and seen more grouse this year than I have probably in the last 5 years combined where I hunt in the UP in several spots. So spent all weekend grouse hunting. was very successful to the point where we didn't even bother going duck hunting because there was just so many partridge running around that got a little birdie when we saw them all and just went after those. So it's been a good season. Bear season was a success. Our group ended up taking 4 bears this year. Nothing huge, but nothing small either. So that was a good time. Another successful season.
How many guys are in your group? Like 4 bears between how many people?
Probably 20-ish.
Okay.
I would say.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's how, every year we get a couple people that pull tags. So, we're always able to go up and hunt and run the dogs and have a good time. Yeah, super lucky to be able to do that every single year due to the size of the group we've got. So, yeah, it's been a great season for me too. Got some bear in the freezer, got some partridge in the freezer. Haven't shot a deer yet, but
when you
that's
go
coming
bear
up.
hunt with a group like that, how do you guys, do you split meat? I assume whoever has the tag gets the majority of
Yeah.
it, but are you guys pretty good about?
It kind of varies by the person who shoots it.
Gotcha.
Some people just take their whole bear. Some people make sure everybody gets some. It varies by the person. So, yep. I'm always dragging bear, so I usually get some bear.
Nice.
You bringing me some brats?
Did you drag a
No.
bear?
Well, I get brats.
I did give you brats one time, yes. Because I shot a nice bear and had lots. This year I don't have enough to spare. Sorry. You're on your own now.
I'm fixing to make some brats. I don't know flavor yet, but I'm gonna be making 10 to 20 pounds of brats here in the next couple days.
From your bear?
No, from my deer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
I'm out of bear meat.
Your bear's a year old. You better be eating it there.
No, it's
so.
gone. There might be an odd burger hiding in the bottom of the freezer or something, but
It's always a fun surprise when you find a package of bear brats in the back of the freezer that are a year and a half old. So
165. That's all you got to get them to.
cook the trick out.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
well, what's a little trichinosis among friends?
Those who share care.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about recipes for bear brats and trying new things. I'd love to hear some recipes from the listeners. What you guys use, if there's any interesting recipes out there. I posted on Facebook, I think in our Michigan Out of Doors hunting group, I don't remember, a month ago or so. And I might have talked about it on the podcast. I don't remember. But I just, was like, hey, I think it was right before October 1st, right before archery season. And I said, hey, archery's coming up. What's your favorite way to prepare venison? And we had some really interesting submissions. The one that really caught me off guard, I think I talked about this, I don't remember. Venison nigiri. The guy would literally take, I don't remember if it was tenderloin or backstrap. I want to say it was one of the two. And he was just thinly slicing it and using it raw on top of rice, like sushi.
No.
It's going to be a no for me, dog.
And
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. And
Hard pass.
he swore up and down it was amazing. There were other people in the comments saying, I think someone else had said they had tried it as well. But by far the most interesting way to prepare venison.
It's like a tartare almost.
pretty
right?
much.
Yeah,
That's
hard
the
pass.
idea.
Venison
Yeah.
tartare.
My dad used to eat that stuff.
I would try it.
No.
Ceviche is good. Like
I-
fish
yeah,
that
yeah.
way is awesome.
I'll admit it's purely
Yeah.
a mental thing for me.
Fish.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat raw food.
This is how CWD crosses the species barrier. Is people
I
eating
want-
that
Eat
stuff
it,
right
dude.
there.
Venison
Yeah.
tartare.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want my stuff fried or something. Like
Yeah.
You can tell.
You
I
look
mean, you
like
can
you want
tell.
it fried.
Yeah.
you don't get uncontrolled type 2 diabetes eating raw food.
No, you don't.
That is true.
Pig
Deep
takes
fry
a
that.
lot of work.
Well, how was your hunting season, Tyler? How's it going?
It's been going. I've got a doe down. I have duck and goose hunted like 6 times. I have 0 birds. So apparently I'm a terrible waterfowler.
How many shooter bucks would you have if you listened to Justin?
3 or 4.
Well, you only have 2 tags, so I hope not.
Well, 3 or 4 to pick from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, 3 or 4
All right,
came
yeah.
through. No, we goose hunted this weekend. I was on a private field, southeast Michigan, excuse me. And we went out and scouted it Friday night. We were looking, and this is probably a 300-acre field, just got plowed and turned, and minimum 1,000 geese on it. I've never seen so many birds in one field, so we're pumped. We get out there early Sunday morning, set up, we're waiting. We had talked to the landowner, good with permission. We thought we were going to be the only ones out there. We're sitting, we have a couple flocks come in, circle our decoys. They're acting weird. It doesn't look like it's our spread. They're not flaring, so we don't know what's going on, but they're landing 100 yards away from us. just out of sight. We're looking at a tree line about 200 yards out. We finally get a big flock come right over the tree line, and we're thinking they're coming right to us, and they start to land on the edge of the field. They're coming down, and all of a sudden we hear like 7 or 8 gunshots. And we're like, what the hell? Like, where are they? Who are these people shooting? Turns out the landowner had given blanket permission to a group of guys, and they didn't tell him they were hunting this weekend, but they're just allowed to go out.
Yeah.
So we were set up about 250 yards apart, and we realized the reason that the geese were acting so weird is because they were coming in and seeing our spread, getting ready to land, and then they would see the motion decoys on the other side of the field, and that was throwing them off. So, I mean, we probably saw 300-400 geese all within 400 yards of us. We took shots at a couple. It was all too far out of range. But
Some Hail Marys.
yeah, we figured we'd at least try to get the gun barrels warm. But yeah, no geese. Yeah, hasn't been a great waterfowl for me yet this year, but
Could have been a great deer season. He
Yeah.
texted me this weekend. He's like, look at my camera. And he ended up getting himself in trouble because
Did you tell him
was
a
a-
deer hunt instead of goose hunt?
I tell him to deer hunt instead of goose hunt all the time.
Oh.
Can't shoot deer. if you're
well,
not
I
in
was
the deer
at I
blind.
was at the U of M MSU game, so I was out there already and figured if I'm going to be out of town, I might as well try to hunt. I knew I was able to get in my stand, so it was the best case for the situation. But yeah, I've had a handful of very nice deer come through that I have yet to take a shot at.
At least you had that football game go your way.
Yeah, that was fun from what I can remember.
Wait, are you Walmart Wolverine?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I didn't
Oh.
go to U of M.
No, he
so-
just likes to poke at my misery.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Were you doing
Okay.
cheers in the crowd? Were you cheering along?
My, not for that game. No, I was not in the best mindset of that game.
I thought they had it early. It looked like their first drive they were just going to run over them.
If we're going to talk football, we got to talk about Motor City Dan Campbell's because they're good at football. Unlike
Yeah,
Michigan
at least
and
one of
Michigan
the teams
State.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean 52 points is impressive.
It is.
So, and they're leading the North, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
They're leading the NFC.
That's what. Yeah. Okay.
Look at Steve knowing football words.
He
Yeah.
doesn't know anything we're talking about whatsoever.
I
Yeah,
checked the updates.
That
on
Matt
my
Stafford's
way
a hell of a quarterback for the
Yeah.
Lions.
Yeah, he is.
Did you guys see Barry Sanders run this weekend?
Barry's the best.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson had a hell of a catch.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson had a hell of a game. And Desmond Howard returned some good punts.
All
Well,
good.
no,
all
he
good
played
guys.
in the Michigan game this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
Luther Ellis was
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
on defensive end.
Yep. All good.
No, at least we have one good football team
football.
this year. I mean,
Lions
Tough
are so good
stuff.
at Football. It's
go
great.
Lions.
I got to watch the Lions win by 1 billion and then go shoot deer with my kiddo. It was a good Sunday.
That's a pretty good Sunday.
It was a good Sunday.
Yeah,
Solid.
That's what dreams are made of.
Mm-hmm.
solid.
And then last week, Steve and I were at Rooster Ranch for our inaugural Rooster Ranch Bonanza.
Bonanza.
Had a great time.
It was a good time. We had perfect weather. It was a little warm in the afternoon for the field hunt. The dogs.
A little cold in the morning,
It was
too.
pretty cold in the morning. But we got out there. It was a great time. We had 16 shooters. So a smaller, more intimate event, but it's a great first event for a first-year event. So we'll be bringing it back next year. Stay tuned for a date on that. But we had an awesome day. We warmed up with a wobble trap, was sporting some clays on wobble trap. I went out for the tower hunt and had the European-style hunt. Really windy. Birds were flying really high. Quite a few got away, which was surprising to me with some of the shooters we had. And we had 16 shooters. We had 17 blinds around the tower, so everybody had their own blind, which was nice. We rotated every like 4 or 5 birds. It was a really good day. They really started to get warm. Then we got a nice group photo with all of our birds, and then we did our field hunt with dogs and some handlers. And it got a little warm in the afternoon, but we flushed 4 in our section.
Yep.
Had some good shooters with us, 2 dogs, flushed out 4 birds. Then we went back to the lodge. We had a great lunch. It was like roasted pork,
Smoked
pork.
mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Great lunch. Thanks to Rooster Ranch for being such good hosts. We gave away some really good raffle items with some awesome gear, from a dog training collar to a field vest. We gave away a Browning Satori 20 gauge over under, which is a really high end shotgun, which was really great. Other things like a decoy bag and shotgun cases, a Carhartt duffel, lots of cool stuff. So stay tuned for updates on that event. It'll be an annual event with us, probably in mid-October every year. Got to give the dogs time to get cooler weather and let all those bird hunters get warmed up with a day with us and supporting conservation. So thank you to everybody who came out. Thanks to all of our sponsors. And we look forward to seeing everybody else next year at the event.
Yeah, some of our listeners were asking if we kept track of which MUCC employee shot the most birds.
Or MUCC employee's child.
We didn't have any children of MUCC employees with us, but Amy's daughter was working at Crooked Foot that day.
Oh, okay.
Doing some dog handling, and then the next day she got a rooster as well when she was hunting. I shot one in the blind on the tower hunt just because of the way the birds were flying. I didn't really get a lot of good opportunities. And then we had a community bird. Basically, all 4 of us shot it when we flushed it in the field. I think you had 5 birds out of the blinds. No?
7.
7. Oh, I didn't hear that update. That's nice.
I had
7.
6. I had 6 solo. 6.
And one of those community birds.
6 solo. I took down
Well,
a
the
bird with
blinds are
another
kinda
person.
close, so
Yeah,
You could have 2 people
Yeah.
dust one bird.
Yeah, pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 6 solo, 1 with someone else, and then that. Yeah, I think all 4 of us shot that one in the field.
I do too.
It took at least 4 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was he was flying away, but it was a good day.
Dead bird. Yeah.
So I wasn't really paying attention. How many did you get, Steve?
I shot 1.5.
One, no,
So
1
one.
1/4 at
So you
most.
shot
1.25, I guess.
And I bet you probably just winged it. Someone else hit it square.
The
No.
answer's 1.
I shot it.
Okay. So 1 to 7. Okay, got it.
What'd you shoot at charity shoot, Steve?
30 something.
No, that's
combined?
not accurate.
Between your two,
Yeah.
between your 2 flights.
That is not accurate.
I think it was a 28.
That is
That's
not
still not
accurate.
accurate.
No,
Yeah,
I
so
think
you
it
are
was. Yeah, I
it
think
was a 28.
No
I think it
way.
was close.
Yeah, I got over half.
I don't
I think
know.
you and-
Between
What
your
did
2
you
flights?
shoot?
Yeah, you and Amy tied, right?
In the 30s, Tyler beat me, but I
Yeah.
beat everybody else.
Fact check.
Okay,
True.
so
You shot a
your-
34. 34. I think you and Amy both shot a 28, right?
Yeah,
I shot a 44
and then shout out to
whatever.
what was our
With a pump.
Glasson scholar's
with
name?
a pump.
Madison.
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 Yep.
Shout out to Madison. Her first time ever handling a gun and shot
18.
18 or something.
18
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of 50.
She did
yeah.
great.
Mhm.
She was very quiet, and she's like, I kind of want to shoot. And I'm like, well, if you want me to, we will find you someone to take you. And I think Tyler and
Yep.
one of our board members, Mike, helped out with her. And
Yep.
she first time ever shooting guns. She shot an 18, so she did a great job.
So events are open to novice and new shooters. So
Yep.
come on
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, we're public pheasant season now as well.
You all need to watch to see Logan's face every time Steve talks.
Like and subscribe.
Podcast
Follow.
words.
Yeah, Amy was saying that she went out, either her or her brother went out to Rose Lake on Sunday, and there
Mhm.
wasn't a single pheasant hunter out there, which is crazy for the second
Yeah, they were
weekend.
squirrel hunting, I think.
Yeah, second weekend of pheasant season, and not a single hunter in the field.
I mean, how many public land pheasant hunters are in Michigan and still actively doing it?
I
It's
could tell you if you gave
not
me Google
a
and look up
ton.
because we're talking about the release program.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah.
the people hunting the state game areas that have
Yeah.
the release program.
But when were they released?
last weekend.
Last Sunday.
Well, the
last
season
Sunday
opened on the
night.
20th,
Yeah.
but they're released throughout the season.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, who knows?
I mean, Ken Dalton was saying that the parking lot was like completely full.
Oh, they do get
Yeah.
full people
Yeah,
park their
opening
trailers
day,
and
yeah.
turn a big party. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories from that program is hell, it may have been Ken. He said some guy came out from bow hunting. And there's all these guys in orange out in the parking lot, and he was like, "What the hell's going on?" And then they were like, "Oh, it's the pheasant release program. It's opening day." And by the end of the talk, the guy, they threw orange on him, gave him a shotgun, took him out, shot pheasants with him for the first time. So
That's cool.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
All right.
It's deer season. I'll go shoot deer.
Any other hunting season updates, stories?
I'm looking forward to rifle season.
Oh, we didn't get Steve's hunting update.
Oh yeah,
Oh, mine's pretty short. I haven't been out yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a pheasant
what kind of tile
I
did you put
did.
down?
on a ranch.
We put down an octagon tile in the bathroom floor and a slim vertical tile in the tub.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I did.
Wasn't the hired help?
Nope, it was me. So that's why it's taking so long.
Okay.
So in the middle of a home renovation. So as soon as that's done, I will be in a stand.
True or false? My 5-year-old's been out more than you.
True.
It's like-
Shot more deer. than
I
this
know
year, too.
we tease you, but you were the one that planned home construction during deer season.
I know. And my wife also planned a vacation. We get back 3 days before rifle opener.
I mean, I screwed up once, had a kid during deer season, so
Yeah.
Well, birthdays are fun after that
yeah,
during
that's
deer
true.
season. So
Can't go. Well, we might go hunting on her birthday this year.
why
We'll
not?
see.
That'd be the best
Well,
birthday
because our
present.
birthday party is scheduled that
Oh,
night.
she'll grow out of that one day.
Bring her
I'm looking
friends.
forward to it. Bring her friends.
Party hunt.
I already imagine her as like a pariah in class because she goes and they do good news every morning, and kids raise their hand, and if they get called in, they get to say their good news. And Mia's was like, my dad got his bear mount back, or my dad shot a deer, and this morning she was going to go in and talk about the deer we shot last night. So I imagine in this school in suburban
Good for
Grand
her.
Rapids, she's probably the only one that's talking about this.
How does she do around field dressing?
She likes it, man. I mean, she goes, ugh, I'm never gonna do that. That's disgusting. But I don't know, she's my heart holder. She'll hold the heart for me.
Yeah.
Like I'll cut the heart out and hand it to her. She was fine. She grabbed it. I mean, she's been growing. I mean, I've been taking her out tracking and gutting for 2 years. When I shoot deer at this place, I'll call my wife and say, bring Mia down. I'll wait, walk out to the truck. By the time I get back to the truck, drop my gear, she's there, and then we'll go get the deer together. So she's been around dead deer for her whole life.
It's a good way to bring them up.
I ain't raising no city slicker.
The Michigan Outdoors podcast is proud to partner with Domain Outdoor. Domain hand selects the highest quality seeds and ingredients, so you can be confident when you choose Domain, you're choosing legendary products, performance, and customer support. I personally use Comeback Kid in my food plot, which is a cold season perennial and annual mix. I've had great success with it, and I highly recommend it. MUCC members get an exclusive discount at domainoutdoor.com with promo code MUCC10 for 10% off their order. Again, that's MUCC10 for 10% off your order with Domain Outdoor. Turn your property into a domain. This is your land.
Yeah, so coming up just here in the future for MUCC, a few updates. We do have our year-end giving campaign that'll be launching here soon. So we're going to be doing some new stuff this year with a video edition, but also our standard mailer that goes out every year. It is the giving time of year, so as you're starting to make plans for your end-of-year donations or that charity piece through the holidays, definitely consider MUCC. You can gift memberships as well. So remember that you can actually give a membership to somebody as a gift throughout the holidays. Also, just general donations work really well. Helps us do all the work that we're doing here, from habitat to education to communications and the policy work that we talked about earlier. So keep an eye out in the mailboxes and stay tuned for a new update video format about all the success and victories we've had and the impact we've had over the year. And please consider giving a donation to MUCC to help us conserve, protect, and defend. And additionally, our annual calendar fundraiser is about to launch. So that's a yearly thing we do where you'll get your calendar in the mail. You can purchase it on our online store as well. And then if you donate a certain level, you'll get a gift. A $50 donation gets you a sweet MUCC branded knife from a Michigan company, as well as a $100 gift gets you an awesome cooler that's branded that can hold all of your cold beverages. And a $125 gift will get you both the gifts as well as a calendar. So the calendar is filled with all of your season dates, your openers, your closers, application periods, NRC dates, the outdoor show dates. It'll also have our MUCC fundraisers in there as well. And so keep an eye out in mailboxes for the calendar. They should be hitting your calendar in early November, or your mailboxes in early November. And it is the best tool for the outdoors man or woman, keeps you on track, and helps you plan all of your pursuits for the upcoming year. So lots of stuff to do in Michigan, and the calendar helps keep you on track for that. So definitely donate and purchase, and they're a great gift for the holidays as well. So if you have an outdoors man or woman in your life that could utilize the calendar, they make an awesome gift during the holiday season.
Yeah, and then just be on the lookout as well. We're going to launch a little bit of a survey coming up, and if you fill out the survey, you will be entered to win a firearm package. So I believe as of right now, it's going to be a shotgun, some ammo, and some MUCC merch. Shotgun is to be determined. That might change. But either way, you're going to be entered to win a gun, some ammo, and some MUCC merch. It's going to be about a 3 to 5 minute survey. We're just trying to understand how our members feel, how our non-members feel, and just try to do everything we can to best serve our membership.
Yeah,
So,
looking for that critical feedback on what adds value or helps bring people into our tribe and make people more enticed to join MUCC. So as Tyler said, there's going to be a lot of cool gear that comes with the firearm, but you'll get a lot of cool stuff as a big prize package. Anybody who does complete the survey in full will be entered to the drawing. So keep an eye on your email inboxes for that, and take 3 to 5 minutes to help us get some feedback and win a sweet prize package.
All right. Next up, we're going to bring in Zach Snyder for our member spotlight, and he's going to talk a little bit about his most recent bear hunt and some of his fishing trips this year.
Let's do it.
All right. Here's Zach. All right. Welcome back. For our member spotlight, we have member Zach Snyder. Zach is a member of our Conservation Policy Board. Welcome, Zach.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Doing good, bud. You're also an individual member, not part of any club, but one of our awesome IMs that we are looking to build more of.
Yep.
How long have you been a member of MUCC?
I think the second time around since 2016, 17 maybe.
Okay. When did you hop on the policy board and dive a little bit into what you do there as your role on that board?
I believe Pat Hogan recruited me around 2018 to get into it more. We go through the resolutions that are submitted by any member of MUCC that can submit them. We pick them apart, decide to send them on to convention, or send them back to the writer, or Pat.
Awesome. Anything that you guys are excited to work on for December's meeting? Do you have any previews for those?
I have 2 resolutions. I haven't even read them yet.
Oh, okay.
One of them's forest management in the UP. The other one, I have no idea what it is. I just got it this morning.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't seen
Zach,
anything yet for
you're
it.
really here. Yeah, you're really here to talk about your bear hunt.
Sure.
Now, before you came on, we were talking about your budding modeling career and the photo that you sent me during your bear hunt. It was 400 billion degrees that week, and we will spare the viewers, but I got a way too deep of a look into your world from that bear hunt.
It was.
But why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your bear hunt? It was your first bear.
Yep. So, I've been saving up my points for a lot of years here in Michigan. Originally, I was going to do Baldwin Unit where we have property, and then it got to a point where life in the way kind of pushed me off on doing that hunt any sooner, and I kept accumulating points and decided I was going to do Drummond Island. And when I got to about 18, 19 points, I realized I'm going to have to wait a few more years, which was fine and all, but back in 2022, my uncle did his hunt in the Red Oak unit and was successful, and I was able to help track and recover that bear with him, and it was just an awesome experience, as any one part of a bear hunt could imagine. And then so last year, we were at our family camping trip up there, and my uncle's sitting there, and he's talking about, man, I wish I could do that again. He's late 70s, probably not going to get to pull a bear tag again. And he said, well, if you want to do a hunt over here, I'll run bait for you. And he mentioned it a couple times, and I kind of like right then and there said, you know what, screw it. There isn't anyone on the planet that I'd rather do this hunt with that's still alive. And so I decided right then that I was going to cash in my points for Red Oak and have him help me with it. And so that's what we did. And once the hunt period came around, as far as when we could start baiting, he ran bait for me every day. Within the minutes, every day on the clock, I saw him pulling on the trail cameras and start dumping when we were allowed to start dumping. And then season started, and like Justin was saying, it was incredibly hot. If anyone doesn't know, it was mid to high 80s the entire time. The first evening, I sat in my blind and sweated it out, and then as it progressed, I started just shedding layers once I got into my blind. Then before you know it, I'm watching the clock of, I put my t-shirt back on at 5 o'clock today. Oh, my socks are back on now. It must be cooling off a little quicker. And I mean it. I was sitting there, sweat rag and all. This blind that I was in was a black box blind that sat essentially in the sun the last half of the evening until the sun got behind the trees. So it was pretty rough in that regard.
The picture I got for the viewers was Zach in a pair of shorts and his orange hat.
I don't think it was a pair of shorts.
Well, right. I was trying to be PG-13.
We all wear underwear.
I know.
They were long. They were long
It was
boxers.
Zach in very tight boxers and an orange hat. Yeah.
Yep.
It was freaking hot. I was on an emotional journey while Zach was hunting because he would send me pictures just about every night
Oh man,
of the bears that were coming.
it was
And
something.
I kept waiting for the text. I was at Trappers College for a lot of it.
Yeah, it was the longest 4-day hunt of my life. And I didn't hunt mornings. I got in my blind about noon every day. I mean, I can run through the whole 4 days if you want.
Yeah, how many bear did you see, and like what were there? What was the choice you made to take the one you took?
On camera, leading up to the hunt, we had a lot of different bear. I would say 14 to 16, maybe even 18 different bear, handful of sows with cubs. But I had no bears come in onto my bait at all until the one that I took. So the first evening sitting there, I remember sitting there and I heard a shot about an hour and a half before dark to the property to the north. And I had known that someone else was hunting that area. And, you hear that and you're like, oh man, I wonder if that was someone taking out a bear that I've had coming in. Hopefully not the big one, whatever. All the little random things run through your mind. And then I'm talking myself out of it. It was youth weekend, or the early antlerless weekend, or whichever it was. And so maybe it's just someone nearby shooting a deer. And then, so then that night, going into Sunday, we actually had zero activity on camera, which was a little concerning. Why did it just shut off overnight like that? But the preceding week and a half before the opener, we had one particular bear that was coming in predominantly, and he was running off any other bear that would come in. And he would just camp out in front of the bait all night long.
It was a dandy.
And he was a dandy. It ended up being the shot that I heard. He dressed out at 394 or 397, I believe. So, pretty good sized bear. And then, so like I said, we had no camera activity that night, and so the bait wasn't touched. So for Sunday, what we were doing was my uncle would drive in, and we'd go 2 in, 1 out. He would drop me off at the blind while he dumped bait. I'd climb up in the blind, he'd leave. So for Sunday, I decided to just walk in with just a little bit of scent additive. I took some vanilla powder and the Northwoods Gold Rush mixed in with some oil. I carried in a couple gallons of oil, dumped that just to get more scent into the air. And then I sat in my blind, and again, nothing. And then so I left Sunday evening, and then I believe it was, Sunday evening, before I was even back at the truck, I had a bear on the bait. So I wasn't even off the 40-acre property yet, and there was a bear on my bait. And then same thing happened on Monday as far as I had activity overnight. The bait got hammered by a few different bears. Went back in Monday, sweated it out. Again, I felt like I was being watched. Like that bear had to be waiting for me to leave because it's not hightailing it in right at sunset. And there was no getting out of that blind quietly, no getting out of there quietly. So I'm running through my head, 2 times is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. And so I'm thinking for Tuesday, I'm going to totally do something different if this happens again. I'm going to get down, I'm going to walk off, take my boots off and low crawl back or something and prone out on a spot where I can see the bait to where it hears me leave or what I'm going to do. I just had no idea yet because, again, the same thing, not even off the property, and that bear is on my bait. And then so Tuesday, again, I get in my blind, sweat it out, and I'm sitting there. In the previous 3 nights, I remember about 45 minutes before sunset, I started hearing the owl go off. And I love owls. We all do. They're cool. You start hearing them hooting. And then Tuesday evening, about an hour and a half before dark, I started hearing that owl go off. And I'm also thinking to myself, well, there's a lunar eclipse tonight. I wonder if that's playing any playing any role in why that owl's hooting earlier than it was. And so about, I think it was like 7:38 p.m. Last legal was 8:12, 8:11, something like that. And I happened to be fumbling with my little camera that I'd been putting up right at the last half hour, 40 minutes of the evening. And I look up and I just saw two black ears sticking up at the back of the ferns. And, we all get in the woods and say, oh man, that was the longest, that had to be 10 minutes for it to come in, or had to be 5 minutes. And I had actually set my phone down on record thinking it was going to happen fast. And when I went back and looked, that video was almost 5 minutes long. It took that bear about 5 minutes to go from 25 yards to the bait. And when she came in from behind the bait. It was very cagey. And like I said, it's the only one I had an opportunity on. And so I ended up taking the shot. Wasn't the greatest shot. She was slightly quartered to me, which isn't ideal. And completely barrel rolled when I shot her. And then got down, made some phone calls, and the search was on. I can keep going on the rest of that because that's still part of the story.
What were you shooting, Zach?
450 Bushmaster and an AR platform.
Awesome. How long did it take you guys to track and find it?
Well, we waited about an hour before we got on it, and it took us a few minutes to get blood. We found blood about 20 yards from the shot site, and we had reasonable blood, in my opinion. I mean, I found deer with far less blood, and I know that when I recovered my uncle's bear a few years ago, we had way less blood. And so I always hear bears don't bleed that great because of the fat and all this stuff. And so we went about, excuse me, probably about 120, maybe 140 yards on this track, and we ended up jumping her. So right then is when we decided to back out, and we waited till morning. I knew that if we were having sparse blood like that and we jumped her, we were going to have even less blood after the jump site. So I called in a dog, and we were able to get the dog in there the next morning, and that bear, I think it was 260 or 280 yards from the shot site is where we ended up finding her, in the absolute nastiest, thickest, stinking swamp that I didn't even know existed on the neighboring property. And there is 100% not a chance we would have recovered that bear without a dog.
Okay.
It's so much fun watching those dogs work.
Oh my God, a tracking dog is just, I mean, I love making believers out of people with tracking dogs, because so many people have a mindset that, well, if I can't find it, a dog sure as hell isn't, but okay, yeah, it's gonna.
That's awesome. So then what was the specs on the bear? What did it dress out at, or did you get it measured, or like how big was it?
On the scales of things, it'd be on the smaller side as far as a measurement goes. I want to say it was like, and I never did an official on it, but I think it was like 17 5/8, or 4/8, whatever, 6/8. I'm sorry, however they call it on that. So whatever it is, however you measure. As far as weight goes, best guess was like 230, 240, because we know what the hang weight was, and we know what the unmolested rear quarter weighed. I was taxed by the coyotes a full right rear quarter and part of a back strap, which obviously sucks, but is what it is.
Should be able to shoot them year round.
Yeah, I know. It'd be great if we could shoot them year round.
If only.
So then, what do you plan to do with it? Are you going to do any mounts, rugs, any sort of special cuts or brats, or what are you thinking about doing now that you've got it back? Or how long till you get the meat back from it?
Oh, I processed the meat that day. That day, actually waited.
Everything is better cooked in bear grease.
Oh, 100%. I've got I think 4.5 gallons of unrendered fat that I will be turning into bear grease.
Awesome. And then are we going to mount it, or do a rug, or what are you going to do with the hide?
I have the shoulder mount in process at a taxidermist. I'll see that in about a year. And I did little Euro display for the skull. I did the skull up myself, and it turned out pretty good.
It is pretty cool. You got a little terrarium thing going on for it.
Oh, that's cool.
Can we put the picture in the video here
Sure.
of the? Cool. So first bear,
Yep.
it's awesome.
Would 100% do it again.
So you took me and did one of my first experiences with hand lining.
Yep.
Which is something that you do regularly in the Detroit River.
Absolutely.
We went out and the first fish we caught was like a 3-pound smallmouth that just made a disaster of my lines. But talk a little bit about hand lining. You know, what kind of drew you to it? Why you feel almost like a responsibility to keep it going.
And explain what it is as well, just because if someone doesn't know what hand lining means, give them a little insight on that too.
Okay. Well, so hand lining is an old school walleye fishing method that was developed on the Detroit River in like the early 1900s, 1920s, in the teens probably. I believe from what guys used to do, they used to actually go out and row troll for them, which I couldn't imagine doing that in that current. I don't know if it was developed for the commercial market at the time or what, or hobbyists or people just trying to fill their freezers back then or what. Originally, from what I understand, guys used to use the old copper phone wire and window sash weights as their main line, and then that developed into guys taking old Victrola record players and the gearboxes in those and building a positive tension reel out of them so they actually have some semblance of line management. And then other manufacturers got into it. I know one of the early ones was Schaller. They were based out of Wyandotte originally. They moved up into the Thumb at some point. I was very fortunate in the guy who's taught me 90% of what I know about hand lining is a great nephew of one of the early developers of hand lining itself. So the guy's kind of born into it and is just hands down phenomenal to watch out there on the river because he just knows the water so well and has taught me an unbelievable amount. I'm actually going out with him this evening. And so that's a little backstory on it. I dabbled in it.
Hang on a second, Zach. Steve apparently wants to go hand lining.
Yeah, he knows this.
Can
And
you hand line from tiling your kitchen?
I can hand line from Zach's boat.
Oh, okay. You realize you'd have to leave your kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I did try and call him once. He didn't answer.
One time.
He was probably working.
It was a Friday. I doubt that.
All right, keep going.
So I'd been invited to do it a few times over the years when I was younger, and then it was something that I wanted to kind of get into. Just it's unique, and then I started getting more into it based off the fact that there's less and less people doing it every year, and I almost kind of hold it akin to trapping, where it's like a dying art, And one of the cool things about it to me is like. If anyone's ever seen the Detroit River in the spring, I mean, the run and when it's busy, there's thousands of boats out there during the daytime, and then you see a handful of guys just kind of come out of the fog, and there'll be a dozen after the whole river's been packed with thousands of boats all day, and you can get out on areas where you won't see anyone all night during what we would call peak run, and you can clean up in a hurry.
So how does it work? Where are you controlling the depth? I know you got the line in your hand and you've got that positive tension on it, but how are you jigging with your hand? Are you
So that reel is mounted to the boat as far forward as you can mount it. You typically run a 60-pound test coated cable, copper cable. And your weight that you use is based on your depth and your current. Weight can range anywhere from a half pound up to 2.5 pounds based off of where you're at. Off of your main line, you have your what we call a shank, and that shank is between your main line and your weight. And off that shank has a series of clevises, and off the clevises you would hook a series of leaders, usually 2 or 3, and they vary in lengths. There's formulas for determining your leader length out, how far up the shank it goes. And off of your leaders, you'd run your lures, whether they be pencil plugs or Rapalas or spoons, basically anything that floats and something that doesn't dive or whip all around, because anything that isn't trailing true is just going to tangle up your setup. And then once you're out, and you know your area, the idea is to basically walk the boat back and forth across the river at a pretty slow pace, almost a walking pace. And the rule of thumb of knowing how fast you're going, if you're going too fast or too slow, is as long as your line's at a 45-degree angle, you're running the right speed.
Okay.
It was, I don't know. Functionally, it wasn't much different than fishing with a rod and line because there's still a line with lures attached. But I don't know. It was something. It was pretty cool when Zach took me and did it. Like, so we caught a smallie and I think 3 walleye that night.
Yeah, and that was.
And we only went out for a little bit.
That was what,
like,
July or August?
August.
Yeah, I mean, the worst time of the season to go, to be honest.
He was telling me some pretty funny stories in the spring.
Oh yeah.
He said the fish are just coming in so fast. You're just covered in blood and semen from the fish, just everywhere. He's wearing like the the deadliest catch overalls is what you were telling me.
Yep. Yeah, it can get pretty messy.
There's no like different size limit or bag limit or anything like that with hand lining, right? It's the same regulations as line and lure. Or...
Nope, it's still the same.
Okay. So then, what's your biggest fish you've caught hand lining?
Weight wise, I'm not sure. I know I've broken 28, but I haven't broken 30-inch yet.
Do you like to cook walleye any specific way, or like you way to prepare them once you get them in the
bear
boat?
grease?
In bear grease, yeah. I'm a fan of anything fried. You know, Justin can attest to that. That's kind of just our body type.
Yeah, we had that
Mm.
discussion earlier too. We can tell.
You guys look the same.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my oldest daughter, she's a huge fan of anything. Anytime I cook up fish, she loves fish tacos. Anytime I do that up, anytime we just deep fry it, it's good. I got one particular recipe that I love going to for it, and it's my go-to fish fry recipe that if I do up a fish fry for everyone at work or at a camping trip for all the family, that's what I go to.
Awesome.
Well, I think we got one more question. We'll let you go. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This is a question that we have been lacking to ask our other guests, and we forgot to ask. Zach, how many squirrels do you eat in a year?
Ooh, that is a tough one. I haven't had any this year yet, but I know last winter would be typically when I'm having my squirrels. I do most of my squirrel hunting January, February. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say a minimum of 4.
Nice.
It's a respectable answer.
I think that's one of our higher answers.
You know, I mean, I got one of my favorite things is a squirrel buffalo dip that I usually whip up around Super Bowl.
That sounds really good.
I'm coming to
actually.
your Super
Yeah.
Bowl party then.
You're not invited to that either. Yeah, just like you're not invited
Logan
to
speaks
hand
with his
lining.
eyes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Zach, we appreciate you joining us and for being a member of MUCC and serving on the Conservation Policy Board. And good luck with the rest of your seasons. And let us know if you need somebody else in the boat.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Is there a person that Steve doesn't try to hunt or fish with?
I know, right? This guy's just mooching trips constantly.
Yeah.
And then never goes
Guess
on 'em.
he's trying to come to my house for rifle season.
Oh, man.
Got to take opportunities.
All right, Zach. Appreciate it, man.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Zach.
You have a good one.